Holy cow, this was a tough strat to make, but maybe that's because I insisted on doing Scout God Part 2! Alright, it's not really Scout God Part 2 since we also used the minigunner, but my main goal here was the same as Night 1. I wanted to make it so that y'all can win with the most basic towers in the game. That means no event towers and no golden towers. Now, I learned some pretty interesting lessons about this night while developing this strat, so I'll share those tips with you here in a second. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the strategy details. Let's start with the loadouts. Player 1 is going to use the Scout, Minigunner, and Commander. Player 2 is going to use the Scout, Minigunner, and DJ. Player 3 is going to use the Scout and the Minigunner. And Player 4 is going to use the Scout and the Freezer. The Freezer? Okay. The Freezer is only there to slow the werewolf down because at random times it'll just take off sprinting, which got us killed a lot. Now here's something you might be wondering. Why isn't Player 4 using the Minigunner like everyone else? Well, for this specific strategy, we tried it that way, but the problem was that we couldn't do enough damage to kill the ints before the werewolf spawned. This meant that all of our towers were focused on shooting the int while the werewolf was just running right past us. So we figured that instead of saving up for a minigunner, which is kind of expensive, Player 4 would just spam level 3 scouts around the commanders and the DJ, which would help us kill everything on wave 10 before the werewolf even comes out on wave 11. And so what you're going to see in this video is actually the first time we killed all of the enemies on wave 10 before the werewolf spawns. We actually played with this strat twice just to make sure it worked, and the first time we used it, the ints were still alive when the werewolf was running around, and it almost killed us. So the way you're going to avoid dying to the werewolf is going to be to follow this strat exactly. Alright, now one more thing I want to say about the loadouts before I move on is that you can probably kill the boss faster by using better towers like the golden minigunner or the ranger or the accelerator. You do get a pretty good amount of money after you kill the werewolf, so that might allow you to upgrade some of those powerful towers. Now, speaking of money, we actually did use the farm for a lot of our attempts here, but in the end, we decided that there just wasn't enough waves to make our money back on them. So instead, we decided to put our money into damage towers. And that's going to be the key here. Doing lots of damage and not placing too many support towers. This means that you don't really need 5 freezers, you only need 1. Also, you should use the freezer over the electroshocker because the electro doesn't really slow the werewolf down at all. And one thing I do want to mention about the freezer since I'm talking about it is you need to set its targeting the strongest. Since the werewolf has the most amount of health on that wave, this will make sure that it gets targeted by the freezer as opposed to the freezer targeting the other enemies around it, which actually could happen on the final wave because a werewolf tries to run through a bunch of enemies and it probably would have killed us if the freezer hadn't targeted it and slowed it down. Alright, now let's move on to the placements. You're going to want to focus your scout and minigunner armies in the middle of the 2 circles. The biggest thing to be aware of with this strat is that players 1, 2, and 3 are going to be selling their scouts during late game and replacing them with minis. This means that you don't want player 4 placing any scouts in the big circle. This is because you want that entire circle to be filled up with minigunners, and you also don't want player 4 selling their scouts because that's just a waste of money. So when they place a couple of scouts at the beginning, they need to place them inside the small circle. After that, they can focus on placing them along the side of the path here and over here. These are some of the most important placements in the game because it allows the scouts to be buffed by the commander's call to arms ability, which makes them do a lot more damage. So once player 4 has filled up those areas, they can start placing scouts at the back here, and that goes for the minigunners too. By the last couple of waves, the center of the circles are going to be completely filled up, so you're going to have to place the minis on the outside of the big circle. Now keep in mind that your goal here is to keep the minis as close as possible to the DJ and commanders. Okay, now on to the player strategies. Player 1 is going to put down a level 1 scout and a level 0 commander, then upgrade the scout to level 3, then upgrade the commander to level 2 for call to arms. The most important thing player 1 can do from this point on is to use the commander ability as soon as possible. You have got to keep an eye on it so that when it's available to use again, you use it right away. If you forget to use it for even 5 seconds, that could easily cost you the game because the enemies really start to pile up as you get towards the boss fight, and if you're not clearing them out, they're going to overwhelm you. So even though you only have 1 commander with call to arms at this point, be sure to use it as much as you can. This is going to be your main job for the rest of the game because from here on out, you're going to focus on placing 2 more commanders at level 2 so you can chain call to arms. Once you have all 3 commanders at level 2, you can start placing minigunners. Be sure to upgrade the minis to level 3 as soon as you can, and if you have the money, definitely max them out. I recommend placing like 2 down and maxing them as opposed to spamming a bunch of minis at level 2. Alright, now for player 2. You're going to want to place a level 2 scout right away, then upgrade it to to level 3. After that, place a DJ and upgrade it to level 1. Then focus on upgrading it to level 3. After that, you can get a minigunner and upgrade it to level 2. After that, get 2 more minigunners, getting the first one to level 2 before you place the next one. Then upgrade the DJ to level 4. After that, sell your scout and replace it with a level 2 minigunner. Then go ahead and max the minis you've already placed and continue placing them at level 3 while upgrading them to level 4 if you have the money. Alright, now moving on to player 3. You're going to place 3 level 2 scouts, then get a level 2 mini. After that, place 2 level 2 minis, then start selling your scouts and replacing them with level 2 minis. That should add 3 more minis. Now finally, you can start upgrading your minis to level 3. If you have the money, try and max them, but if you need more firepower right away, go ahead and place another mini at level 3. Remember, a level 3 minigunner is way stronger than a level 2 minigunner, while a level 4 minigunner is way stronger than one at level 3. So if you find yourself with a bunch of money, always upgrade the minis that you've already placed instead of placing a new one at a lower level. And finally, for player 4, the good news here is they have the easiest job on the team. Player 4 is going to place 4 level 3 scouts, then place a level 2 freezer. After that, all you have to do is spam level 3 scouts near the commander. At some point, you can start maxing them. Just be sure you place enough of them to help your team kill the enemies. If you find yourself with some extra money and your team is doing well, go ahead and save up your money to take some of those to level 4 because they're going to do way better than if you left them at level 3. Alright, that pretty much does it for the strat itself. Here are some lessons that I learned that might help you win if you want to deviate from the plan that I made. The first thing is you have got to make sure you're spending all your money, either upgrading towers that you've already placed or placing more towers. This is a really small map and the enemies are decently strong, so it's not going to take them very long to get to your base if you're just messing around and not paying attention. And the other thing you could do is feel free to use the golden skins for these towers if you have them, or really you can use any other towers that you want. The toxic gunner is going to be great for slowing down the werewolf, and of course the golden scout and golden minigunner are going to do way more damage than the regular version of those towers. The only reason I didn't use the golden skins here in this video is because I wanted to show you that it's definitely possible to win with just the most basic towers in the game. Alright, now I'm going to give a shout out to the awesome teammates that helped me develop this strategy. Carolina W13, Nylas7, and Vlad11. Alright, that's all I got for now, so go ahead and sit back, relax, grab a cat, and I'll see you right back here at the end. And there's the proof that this strat works. If you have any questions or concerns, please leave them for me down in the comments below, and I'll see if I can't help you figure out why you're dying. Alright, now if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and smash that like button with your forehead, hit the subscribe button with your big toe, and turn on notifications however you can so you don't miss any of my amazing upcoming content, and I will see you guys next time. Take care, be safe, and never forget what I always say, Swamp Thing is better than Swamp Creature.